Guys, welcome back to the channel. The title of our channel is Start Building Your Dreams, and over the last year and a half we've been building Project Rampage. We had a 2001 Gladiator with manual. We traded in for the Eco Diesel, and that's a little bit about where we are. We did a 66,000 mile review on the white Jeep. Phenomenal Jeep, but I've never done a walk around a Project Rampage, and there's a lot going on here, so let's just jump right in this. All right guys, so first let's talk about suspension. Okay, I've run the same Clayton 3.5-inch Overland Plus kit with HD rear springs for the last 3 years, ever since I put the first kit on my white Jeep. Only thing we did different when we went to diesel is we swapped to the diesel coils. I have upgraded to the Dobinsons in the rear, but to me the Overland Plus kit gives you durability, longevity, and there's no maintenance, or relatively zero maintenance. All you're doing is making sure everything's still tight, doing a visual inspection, making sure none of the boots are worn out, and usually you're going to hear a clang, a pop, a rattle if there ever is anything wrong. For shocks, we're at the budget shock still, so these are the Rancho RS9000 XLs for the Jeep Gladiator. They're the exact same shocks I ran on the white Jeep. They're a commercial shock, but they're an affordable shock. So if I blow out all of my shocks, I'm out $650, $700 to replace them. So that's a good side. Additionally, when we talk tires, I am a huge fan of the Toyo Open Country MTs. I started running them on my Dodge Ram back in 2014. Knock on some wood somewhere, I have not had a flat since 2014, and I started running these tires. And I've been through a lot of sets of tires. I had the 37 1350 R17s for a long time. We upgraded with our partnership with Toyo to 40-inch by 1350 R17 Toyos, and those are mounted on a set of Fittipaldi Off-Road 151 beadlocks, and I love them. They look great. They're black, they're subdued, they're strong, and I've taken them all kinds of places with the beadlocks. And yes, you do have to do maintenance. You're supposed to go back and torque them. I did break a bolt one time, but the secret is use lots of anti-seize and they last. Cross country, DOT approved, not going down that road. I'll tell you what I've got going on, and I think I've had pretty good luck with beadlocks. If you know what you're doing, you torque them in a star pattern. They're good for off-road racing, rock crawling, any overland adventures you want to do. Bead grips is really probably a better option for a lot of you guys out there, but I just love the style and the look of the 151s and the performance. Underneath the Jeep, okay, still 373 gears. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because we got 373 gears, a diesel, and 40s, but it works. Okay, is it ideal? No. There's probably some torque that I've lost. There's a lot of, especially once it gets up into 8th, because it does still hit 8th gear about 75 miles an hour. You are in 8th gear in this thing. If you need to tow a trailer, I did tow a trailer, a little bitty trailer. I wouldn't recommend towing a trailer stock gears on 40s, but Rampage with the 4-to-1 Rubicon transfer case, I haven't felt the true need to switch. Okay, maybe I'm dumb. You can leave a comment. Big picture wise, next upgrade is going to involve some axle stuff down the road. Talking axles, to strengthen this one up with front axles. Okay, so in the front we've got a set of RCV axle shafts. Those are rated up to a 40-inch tire, which is perfect to counteract any other stuff. The center differential could always grenade if you really got stupid with it. I take it slow and easy. It's an overland vehicle. It's heavy, so I drive expedition style to make it last. I don't really stomp on the skinny pedal ever, just to be honest. I drive like an old man. We'll just throw it out there. And then doesn't mean I can't drive fast, but I drive a little like an old man in this thing sometimes. So we got the full Synergy setup. We did a full video on that. Jade from Synergy has been a huge supporter of the channel. We've had her on here a couple of times, but to me that setup works. I will say, looking back on it, go back, make sure you retorque everything, because my pitman arm nut did come loose, and we caught that and we fixed it before it had a chance to really do any serious damage to the gearbox. So we talked suspension, shocks, tires, wheels, underneath as well, metal cloak skid plates. So the entire length of the Jeep, all the way from the front drain pan all the way back to the back of the def tank and back of the DPF, you'll see that pretty metal cloak gold. Okay, so that gives me added assurance with an $8,000 or $10,000 transmission, plus thousands of dollars worth of emissions equipment on this. I want it protected. Recently, to complement the Clay and Off-Road suspension, back to suspension, we did add this brace. So let's talk a little bit about protection. Under the front, we've got the ARB diff covers front and rear for the M210, M220, M210 up front, M220 is a rear, Rubicon axles, basically a Dana 44 on steroids. We're on 40s with RCVs and it works. We're not spinning the tires, we're not rock bouncing, we're not rock crawling, we're an overlander. We're going through mud, dirt, up some stuff, over some stuff, controlled fashion, okay? So you can't get stupid. So protection, we got the front and rear diff covers. We also have the ARB stubby bumper. So no, you can't go cross country out of the US with the stubby bumper. You can probably go to Alaska. You start getting into other parts of the world, you do want a full width bumper. But we've got the front bull bar. This is a stubby bumper from ARB. This is the exact same one I had on my white Jeep. And we've got the exact same Badlands winch. So that winch is winched out F-150, 1500 Chevy, a couple other Fords, a couple other Chevys along the way. I don't know if I've ever winched out a Dodge truck. But being at 7,000 to 8,000 pounds, when you load up a Gladiator, you got a lot of weight that you can pull. And so I would recommend the 12,000 pound winch, always on 1.5 times minimum of what your vehicle weighs. So, you know, 8,000 plus another 4,000, that puts you in the 12,000 pound category. So that's a safe category. Also, don't buy the cheap bumper. If you buy a cheap bumper, there's a chance that thing could rip off, kill somebody, kill yourself, destroy your vehicle, or damage somebody's property. So I went expensive on the winch bumper because it's quality. I know ARB's quality. I've had one on an 88 Pathfinder. I've got one on my Dodge Ram. I love the ARB bull bars. That is their bread and butter, and they make some of the best bumpers on the market as far as aftermarket winch bumpers go, considered worldwide. All right, guys, so continuing with protection. I've got steel all over this thing. So steel underneath, steel front and rear, and then we've got the Mopar rock sliders, steps. Those are the Mopar steps. They mostly come on the Mojave. They came on my 2021 Rubicon. It's a little bit wider than the sliders, but it bolts to the pinch weld, and it's going to give you a little bit of protection. We cut those down to fit the 40s, but other thing protection-wise is a good steel rear bumper. The factory bumper's not bad, but I've had two buddies get rear-ended in their Gladiator, and they were totaled. So to me, I want the bumper that's going to support the weight as well as the corner guards. So this protects that. I have thought about going to combat off-road taillights, but I'm afraid folks won't be able to see those. So we've got the full Expedition 1 rear bumper. I ordered this for the white Jeep, ended up trading in the Jeep, and so it ended up on Rampage. So the Expedition 1 bumper, I love it. It's totally configurable. We've got a 40-inch spare. We've got water. We've got our Badlands jack over here and our spare tire. So I think we've talked a lot about the protection. Let's talk lighting. So when it comes to lighting, this is still my $300. It cost me $300 to make that light bar. I already had the Serco rack. I've had that rack for 27 years. Serco's actually going to send us a new one. We installed a flooring kit in it. I'll show you that. But for lighting, this is our second set of headlights. The first set of Oxbeam headlights we had burned up. This is a new set. We did a partnership with Oxbeam, installed these. I kind of like these because they look factory. I did not get the LED package, but pretty much the Jeep's LED except for the taillights now, so go figure. Headlights are good. You know, these are good. They put the light out so you can see. The top bar has a lot of light so you can see. And then I've got the rock lights. I finally got those installed. And these are just some cheap rock lights to illuminate things. One thing I did do is I did mount them on the bumper to kind of get that light in front. They're not super bright. They're not the best rock lights. I'm sure there's other companies that make rock lights out there. But for the most part, the rock lights, they're RGB Ws. So that is a pure white on them. That's a good thing. Go a little bit brighter, go a little bit lower if you need to. But that's the rock lights. Back, I actually really like these. So these in the back, we've got the Pro Series 3-inch cubes from Oxbeam, and these have amber covers on them. These are actually designed to be a ditch light, but I just mount them back here, and I really like those. So now we've talked a little bit about basic build. One thing I did forget to mention is I do run airbags and a spacer in the back because we are heavy. and I'll show you where all that weight is coming from. So basic overland gear. Okay, we've got the new TYRI shower awning. We've got the rooftop tent, the same tent I've had for years and years. And then on the other side, I've got the 270 awning. This is the topper from Inca 4x4. So this is good because you can fill all you want. It's got mounting panels inside and out. I've got the VL75 Pro D fridge. I will say, if you want to spend some money, get a fridge up front. Quit doing the water, ice. Everybody's right. The fridge is a game changer. And so another thing about awnings is if it's easy, you're going to put it up. If it's not easy, you're not going to put it up. So quality bag like TYRI here. I'm not going to open the OVS, but I mean, a couple straps. Pop and pop. Now you have a privacy tent. Now you can go use the restroom in quiet, in privacy, take a shower, whatever you need to do. So I will say that having the shower ensuite is a huge added bonus. The tent, I'll open up the tent real quick, but to get to the tent, I'm not going to pop it all the way open, but we're just going to deploy it just so you guys can see it. Got the tent up. Oh no. That's basically the tent. You got a couple of poles up here. And somehow, after all these years, I've managed to get a hole in my tent. That is not cool. So, yeah. I guess I'll be looking for a new tent, which is kind of sad. So, that pops out like that. King size bed, sleeps two, and it's good to go. To close it up, I'm all about speed of setup. So close the tent up. You'll want to tuck your tent every time you close it. There we go. Again, speed of setup, speed of teardown. That's the key. For our awning here, I'm going to zip the floor the rest of the way up. Drop that corner in, just like that. Come back with this side and close it up. Then you're just going to roll and stow it. Again, if it's easy to use, you'll use it. If it's a pain to set up, you're not going to use it. So that's the advice I would give you for any overland equipment in general, is ease of use. And you know what? If you said, well, John, you spent $2,700 on that tent 3 years ago, and if you break that down, how many times I've been camping, I guarantee you I would have spent a whole lot more in a hotel than I spent on this tent. So, tent is a good investment. The Mount Washington did have some issues, but I'll let you guys know. Leave a comment. Tell me what I should do about tent down on the bottom. That's sad. It broke my heart. I know what Daniel Hill will say, watching this from Outland Motorworks. Oh, I got one for you. All right, so easy to set up, easy to pack away. That's the way I like to overland. Some people will go set up for days. It depends on what type of person you are. I want to be fast, I want to be mobile, I want to be set up a camp, go out on an adventure. I don't want to just go sit in the woods for 3 days. That can be peaceful and relaxing, but I like to go. I'll show you guys the back real quick. So back here we've got the Inca trail bag, has a bucket in it for privacy, fire pits in there, lots of space. These things are basically indestructible, heavy duty PVC, and they are awesome. Again, Expedition 1, I think they make the best looking hinges on the market. It's easy to open. They lock into place. If you do buy one of these, make sure you lock your tailgates. That thing can whip around the side and do damage. So in the back here, all right, we got our backup camera for our wolf box. We got our third brake light up here. Inside of here, I've got my VL75 Pro D fridge. Just keeps ticking, always stays at 36, 38 degrees. Over here in this big custom build out drawer, everything I could ever need to completely tear the Jeep apart, put it back together, is in here. So air compressor tools, jumper cables, straps for when I'm hauling a kayak. The longer stuff just lay along the side. Basically, if you got a deck drawer system, this is kind of like that, but I wanted it big enough for the Milwaukee packouts, and so that's why I went with this design. So on top of this, I've got a slide that can pull all the way out. Right now I think it's kind of wedged in there with all the stuff that's in the Jeep. Got my stove up there, my lights, got my pantry. It all clicks to the top of this shelf. Again, this is like 3 or 4 sheets of plywood, so it's extremely heavy. I kind of would like a lighter weight option in there to go with that, but I'll show you electronics next. So starting with electricity, I've got 2 100-watt solar panels on top. And those two are to trickle charge the dual battery setup I've got. I got 2 100 amp hour batteries. Got batteries basically power the fridge. You get the Starlink up here, so I can run Starlink. I've got an aux beam controller back here, and that is so that, you know, I can power stuff on. Everything is pretty much LED is the way to go. So I have got a lot of things here I can use for exterior lighting. But if you want to light everything up, just come into your panel here. Got this off of Amazon. Turn on the light. I want to power on the Starlink. I can power on the Starlink. Again, I've got the Renogy DC to DC controller in here. It's 100 amp hour and larger. They recommend the DC 50. Basically, it can charge up to 50 amps. I've seen it as high as, 28, 30 amps. But really, you're pushing a lot of energy and a lot of heat through those wires. So you got to make sure you use good wire all the way from the back to the front. You want 100% pure copper, not copper clad. So copper, pure 100% copper. The buddies at Adventure Off-Road X, they told me that's the way to go. So otherwise you could burn up your truck, because all that electricity, heat, it can get really hot. And then we did the review on the little shower it goes with us. And then I've got the traction boards back here. Traction boards used to be faddish, okay? But I've actually used them when I was in my white Jeep. I was on a hill. Every time I'd slowly let off the clutch, the Jeep would just slide back as soon as the wheel started spinning. Just solid ice. So for ice and sand, traction boards are good. And yeah, we do pull people out when we go to the beach. Most of the time it's about airing down. So you want to know how to air down. Typically I run 18 to 20 psi on the beach. Technical trail, I'll drop down closer to 14. With the bead locks, I can go as little as 2 and still have air in the tire. So 2 to 5 psi. Not ideal, because the less pressure you got in there, the more likely you are to make contact with the rim. And aluminum, unlike steel, does not bend, it cracks. So just things to know about wheels. I ran the Steelies on the white Jeep, and I've run the aluminum bead locks on this one. The idea is that a steel wheel, you can always get in there, reshape it if you really get into a pinch. The bead locks, you can take them, break them down, but again, knock on wood, never had a flat with the Toyos. I still carry a spare, and I also carry glue tread. So that's kind of my emergency plan. I've got a pace plan for just about everything. So let's talk about communications. I don't have an inReach or any of that. I've got a cell phone booster, and I've got the Starlink. So I've got 3 means of comms, plus I've got GMRS, and I've got a CB, so redundancy. So that's the Inca topper. If you guys have more questions, or I didn't go far enough into something, let me know. So the OVS awning, it's a 270 LT. I'm not a huge fan. It's kind of worn. The bag gives me problems. Again, I don't use it that much because the bag gives me problems, but closing up the back is pretty easy. Inca topper in this, I just basically line them up, push them in, close the tailgate down. You do have to lift the latch, and this one will be fun. The spare tire's heavy, and this thing does hold a 40. I don't know if it would hold a 42, but I'm sure it would. You kind of have to lift the latch, put your butt into it, and then push down. And because I got all that stuff up there, I kind of have to do a weird rear power squat. That's just how it goes. We mounted the roto packs back on the side here. Idea, put the traction boards on the other side. For the roof rack here, I've got some plans for the roof rack. This is my Serco rack. I just installed a flooring kit, and so we'll probably be adding some boxes up there. But we'll get more into the future projects after I show you guys kind of what we got going on inside the Jeep. I would say apologies for the mess, but it's an overland vehicle. Over here we've got the PrimoWorks armrest. This thing's great for long distance travel, or if you need a coin to go to Aldi, put your coin in there, throw your cell phone in there, put a drink in there. I switched them around because I don't really like the drink on this side because it was hitting my elbow, but I think if I had to do it again, I'd get the one without the cup holder, but it's basically your choice. This slides front and back, as everybody knows. That's just plastic. Down here, no gnats, okay, bug spray. We are in the South, and this is the best stuff I found for bugs, and so I keep a bottle of that in here. I keep gloves, I keep some quick go-tos like a wrench. I got some Allen keys back in there, and tape measure. Things that I'm always using go in there. Up here, we've got the controller, okay? This is a new 12 gang. It's RGB. You can change the colors. You can dim it down. You can make it brighter. It even has a strobe mode and everything else. Over here is the Wolf box. As you can see, I can see out the back now. I've also got the front dash cam. And then I've got the cell phone mounts. These are from 67 Designs. Over here, I've got an old Cobra CB. Not the greatest, but you know, it does have weather band and everything, and you're not going to be able to hear anything. All that static and scratch in there, that's why people don't like that. They go to GMRS these days, but sometimes you just get a bunch of noise. That's what your squelches, turn down that static. And if somebody was close enough, we could actually hear them. And so, you know, it still works. Compared to the GMRS, which I'll turn this on, you probably won't hear anybody talking, but check the speakers there. This is like 1990s technology. That's the Cobra CB. I've had that thing forever. But then you go to the weather band here.
Temperature of 79. And now,
you hear how much clearer it is?
Observations.
You know, we're probably not going to find as many people on here unless the kid's playing with their radio or something. But you can scan, you can monitor channels. Controls are up here, push to talk, not push to think. So that's a common thing. Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot. You know, go through the entire alphabet. Basically, it's you, this is me. Take a radio class. It's a good class for you, as well as map reading. So I run Onyx Off-Road, and so when my phone is plugged in, you go into your Apple CarPlay here. You can come over to Onyx Off-Road, and yeah, I got a lot of apps and a lot of messages and all that stuff in here. Open up Onyx here, but you can also go down here and you can load your app, and then you can see right there you got the Onyx app in your CarPlay. So that's awesome. Also, they have turn-by-turn navigation. You can zoom out here. I got all my trails and everything. I can plot my courses, and we can go from there. So the 67 designs, I will say that's probably one of the first things I upgraded was the 67 designs, simply to hold your cell phone, because the cheap ones, I mean, I tried to stick on the window one just like everybody else. I tried the cup holder ones, everything falls out. So 67 designs is the way to go. I've got the GoPro mount up here too. This records 4K if need be. And then one thing that's really unique to my Jeep, and I really enjoy, is this right here. So if I need to work on the weekends, I've got the RAM mount here. And the RAM mount, you basically load up your laptop, and then this thing will pivot around. So this is actually what the police use for a lot of their troopers. And it's got some adjustments on here and everything else. And so if you need to move your computer closer, it's more ergonomic, you do that. And then I got my little jackery that plugs into the factory outlet in the back, and that powers up to the front. I don't have the rear seat delete and all that fancy stuff. Maybe someday, but as of right now, I don't really think I need it that much. And then only thing is a compromise really is your passenger's legroom. There is this bar here. Again, they don't make a RAM mount specifically for the Jeep. So it's in there, and then I got my camera gear and my dash covers over there from filming. So that's pretty much the inside. Performance mods, 0. Other than I've got the Taser JL down here, which is, it will let you scan some codes, it'll let you resize for the tires, plugs in under the dash, and then we've got the AEV snorkel. So other than that, there really haven't been that many performance mods. More about communications, I showed you guys the GMRS and CB. We do have the Big 5 overland antenna. This helps me judge my height when I'm driving. And then we got the Starlink dish mounted with the sat gear mount here. And then I always get questions about, do the limb risers work, yes or no? They do. They keep the limbs from smacking the windshield wipers. And then speaking of windshield wipers, we did go with the Mopar ones that have a spray beam all the way along them. And they're pretty good. The blades themselves, I would like a stiffer blade, but I think for the most part they do a good job. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. Up top here, we do have the crossbars on top of the CVT. The reason I like the side load tent is for kayaking. So I can get my kayak up there with the help of a step stool these days, but I can get my kayak up there and I can go kayaking with the Jeep. That was one of the main reasons I've kept the side opening tent, and the fact that it's a king size bed, man. Not the greatest mattress, but lots and lots of space. And I'm not showing you the back seat. That's where Overland Dreams go to die, is in the back seat, because it's just clothes and, you know, off-road stuff, outdoor stuff, and things like that. I will say the thing I love the most about the Inca Topper is the fact that I can open this up, and right there I can get a nice cold water out of the fridge. Or if I want to dig to the other side, I can come over here. I got Cokes. You can put whatever you want in there. I'm big on drinks, so like dry goods, I can eat ravioli out of a tin if need be. Trust me, I've lived bad. But one thing you can't do is drink warm stuff and expect to cool down. So the quickest way to cool your body down is with drinks, not drinking Coke, but drinking water or Gatorade. Make sure you got those electrolytes flooding. And so I think that's a pretty good wrap. Oh, one more minor thing. So if you're curious, if you want to use a scepter can like this, I've got a little cap in there. It's from a company called Iggy Core. Basically, my little Dometic will plug right into it. I can run the water out of that. I got 5 gallons of water. This is a Battling Jack Harbor Freight. This is from a company called Grove Fabworks. This is their 3-ton. Now, if your rig is not very heavy, you could possibly do the 1.5 ton, but that's really designed more for ATVs and side-by-sides. But I do like this cover. It keeps everything clean and dry, and that thing used to rattle around in the back of the Jeep forever. And I think I've pretty much covered a lot of the stuff. We got a lot of stuff going on here. All right, guys, I really enjoy that I get to share my dream with you. I'm glad I finally got to do a walk around of Project Rampage. We've got a lot of adventures coming up, and I just want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for you guys that have subscribed. And, you know, it helps out the channel a lot. We get to work with partners because of, you know, how many subscribers we have and our reach and your engagement when you ask questions. When we do something like a lift kit install video for Clayton Off-Road and it got like 20,000 views, like blew my mind. But the comments were, hey, I went back and watched it 2 or 3 times. Really appreciate you helping me out with this. So again, the purpose of this channel is to help inform, motivate, and inspire you guys to get out there and start building your dreams. And I hope to catch up with some of you guys at shows. And I also want to see some of y'all out there on the trail. Thanks for watching. Off to our next adventure.